Hi, we're out on the range today, so please bear with gunfire you hear in the background. A while ago, I did a presentation on the bullet-resistant properties of cellular phones, and since then, a lot of people have contacted me asking about the bullet-resistant properties of other things that someone might have in their pockets. So I brought a few things with me today, like a glasses case with glasses in it, a leather wallet with a couple of credit cards and 10 bills, one of those Ridge wallets with a couple of credit cards and 10 bills, various forms of notepads and notebooks, a calculator, and of course, we'll shoot a couple of cellular phones. Now, how much resistance would any of these things provide? Well, you've heard of wind resistance. Even air has some resistance to it. But if you had any of these items in your pocket, would it have enough resistance to stop a bullet? Let's see if we can put that to the test. So to test the bullet resistance of our various items, we're going to use the meat target. Now for those who haven't seen it, the meat target is leather couch skin, followed by pork steak pectorals, pork ribs, a bag of oranges to simulate lung tissue, more pork ribs on the back, 2 layers of t-shirt on the front, 2 layers on the back, and the whole thing followed by the new and improved high-tech fleece bullet stop. And today, our meat target is going to be wearing a leather jacket, which was sent to me by a viewer, thank you very much, and after it gets done being a leather jacket today, it will end up becoming leather jacket skin. Now our leather jacket is going to have the calculator in the pocket. This calculator is solar powered, so although it technically has a battery, it doesn't really have a battery in the traditional sense. And we'll put that in the pocket, put it on our meat target, and I'm going to shoot this from a distance of 5 yards with my baby Browning, which is loaded with Remington green and white box 25 ACP 50 grain full metal jacket round nose. So let's see how bullet resistant our calculator is. I fired 2 shots, both went through our calculator. One went completely through the meat target and was stopped by the t-shirt on the back of the target. The other hit a rib on the front of the target and is now lodged somewhere in our orange lung tissue. And this tells us 2 very important things. 1, the bullet resistance of your calculator is down there somewhere around 0, and 2, don't underestimate a 25. Now let's take a close-up look at the bullet I recovered. And there's your full metal jacket 25 round with very little deformation. Now let's try this notebook. It has semi-rigid covers, 80 thicknesses of paper, and we'll put this in your pocket, and I'll shoot this from 5 yards with a 25 and see what happens. All 3 of our projectiles went through the book. 1 hit a rib on the front of the target and was stopped. 1 went through the ribs on the front and the back without actually striking a rib and was stopped by the t-shirt on the back of the target. And 1 of the bullets struck a rib on the back of the target and was stopped there. So the book was definitely more bullet resistant than the calculator, but enough more to matter? Doubtful. And here's our 3 bullets, and you can see again, very little deformation. Now we'll try a leather wallet, which has a couple of credit cards and 10 bills in it. And of course, most people carry their wallet in the back pocket of their pants. So for this, we need a different type of meat target. So this has the leather couch skin, but it's labeled right here that it's a pork butt roast. So we'll put the butt in the jeans and we'll shoot it. And again, we'll start by shooting 5 yards with a baby Browning, which is loaded with Remington green and white box 25 ACP 50 grain full metal jacket round nose. All of our shots went through our wallet. 1 went completely through the butt roast and the jeans and was stopped by the first layer of fleece. 1 went completely through the roast and was stopped by the jeans. And 1 of those projectiles is somewhere in our butt roast. So let's put this together again and try our Ridge wallet. Our Ridge wallet has a couple of credit cards and 10 bills, but the Ridge wallet is made of metal, and I'm very confident it can stop the 25 ACP. So I'm going to put this in our pocket, and I'm going to skip ahead to the Beretta Model 1934, which is loaded with Federal American Eagle 380 ACP 95 grain full metal jacket round nose. Let's shoot this from 5 yards and see what happens. All three of our projectiles hit the wallet. One hit here in this notch, and so half of the bullet was on the wallet, half was in the notch, so it sheared the bullet in half, and the half that went through that notch went into our roast a little bit. But as far as the two projectiles that hit the wallet fairly square, they were stopped. Now let's take a close-up look at these projectiles. Here's our wallet, and here's where two of our projectiles hit, and they're mushroomed almost flat. And here's where our third projectile hit, and it was sheared in half. So now we'll turn this wallet over, put it back in our pocket so we're shooting a side of it that's not compromised, and we'll move up the food chain a little bit. I've got my Beretta 92FS loaded with Federal 9x19 115 grain full metal jacket round nose. Now let's shoot our Ridge wallet from 5 yards and see what happens. All three of our rounds hit the wallet. The one that hit the clip on the back, that was stopped by the wallet. The other two, one of which just barely nicked the edge of the clip, one missed it completely, those were not stopped by the wallet. They went completely through the roast, and they were stopped by the jeans. So our Ridge wallet definitely has some bullet-resistant properties. And remember, before we shot it with the 9x19, it had already been to some degree compromised by having been shot with the 380. And after all of that, the clip is still holding the money. And there's our three 115 grain 9mm projectiles. On the subject of things you might have in your pockets, I want to discuss something that was brought up recently, and that is the occasion on which someone tried to assassinate Teddy Roosevelt. Now, the first thing to say about that is that there are many different versions of the story. But the main gist of it is that in 1912, when Teddy Roosevelt was running for an unprecedented third term as president, he was about to give a speech when a would-be assassin shot him. The bullet penetrated, but its progress was greatly retarded by Mr. Roosevelt's clothing and some things in his pocket. And this is where there are different versions. In one version, the bullet penetrated, but not enough to hit anything vital like his lung. In another version, the bullet did penetrate his lung, but just barely. In one version of the story, Mr. Roosevelt had a speech that was 50 pages long, and this is 50 sheets of paper, and that retarded the progress of the bullet. In another version, the bullet was stopped, or at least greatly slowed down, by his glasses case and the glasses in it. However, I think the more accurate version is that both of those things were in his pocket. So what we're going to do is put our speech in our coat pocket, and put our glasses and glasses case in our coat pocket, and put that in front of our meat target. Now we have to discuss what firearm to use to shoot this. And again, that's where the story can vary. There seems to be some differences of opinion as to what make and model of firearm was used. Well, the handgun I'm going to use is this one. This revolver belongs to Chuck, who's a colleague of mine, and it has been in his family for a very long time. Chuck's grandfather owned this gun for many, many years, and he died in 1962. It's been in Chuck's family for a long time. The most recent patent date stamped on this is 1880. It's a Smith & Wesson revolver with a 3 1/4 inch barrel, and that brings me to the part of the story that is not in dispute. Every source I read agrees that the caliber of the revolver that was used to shoot Mr. Roosevelt was caliber .38 Smith & Wesson. That's what caliber this revolver is. That's what it's loaded with a 146 grain round-nosed lead projectile. So let's shoot our bull moose target from 5 yards with this and see what happens. Well, I've got the meat target taken apart, and I fired 2 shots. Both hit our glasses case and our glasses. Both went through our 50 pages of speech. One of the projectiles was stopped by the ribs on the front of the target. The other one did make it through to our orange lung tissue, but it only hit 2 oranges, just grazing one and going through the other, and then the bullet did not have enough energy to get out the back of the flimsy bag that the oranges are in. So it looks like, with the right props, and the right firearm and ammunition, and the right analog for a thoracic cavity, we very closely replicated both versions of the Teddy Roosevelt story. So to that I can only say 2 things. 1, I find that very interesting. And 2, who was that guy that was just bitching ad nauseum about how the meat target is a completely worthless analog for a thoracic cavity? Yeah, that guy. And there's our 2 bullets, and you can see a significant amount of deformation from the soft lead projectiles. I've got one more meat target, and I have an old school flip phone. Now, if you've seen our previous presentation on the bullet resistance of cellular phones, you've seen that this type of phone, especially its battery, can be surprisingly bullet resistant. But I'm going to use this phone to demonstrate a point about the relevance of the bullet resistance of stuff in your pockets. I've got my Rossi coach gun, which is loaded with Winchester Super X 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck 9 pellet. And I'm going to shoot this meat target from a distance of 15 yards, and let's see if our phone can stop the pellets. Two of the pellets hit the phone, and the phone, or more accurately, the battery, stopped those pellets. So it looks like if you're getting shot at with double-aught buck, your phone will save you. So what we see is, depending on what it is that's in your pocket and the firearms and ammunition choices of whoever's shooting at you, sometimes the things in your pocket can save you. We know the case of Teddy Roosevelt. I'm acquainted with a case where a police officer was shot and the bullet hit him below the ballistic vest, but he was wearing a heavy-duty belt and the bullet struck him where the belt overlaps, and he was shot with a .32 auto, so it stopped the bullet. Certainly things like that happen. But the 2 big takeaways from today are, 1, the things you carry in your pocket most of the time have very, very little bullet resistance. And 2, as our shotgun demonstration shows us, even if you're carrying some kind of device that does have a fairly high level of bullet resistance, it's not going to do you any good unless the projectiles happen to hit that little device. And the chances of that are often very slim. So, as always, don't try this at home on what you call a professional, and thanks for watching the Bullet Resistance of the Things in Your Pocket video.